Your grocery bill is about to skyrocket. New government tariffs are threatening to make everyday essentials, from your morning coffee to gas for your car, way more expensive. And here's the kicker. Some prices are already rising before these tariffs even take effect. So, which 10 everyday items are about to cost you a fortune? And what can you do right now to avoid overpaying? Stick around because you're going to want to hear every single one, especially number 7 because nobody is talking about it. Let's be real. Everything is already crazy expensive these days. But what if I told you that some of your favorite foods, everyday essentials, and even gas for your car could see huge price hikes overnight? That's exactly what could happen thanks to a new tariff war that's already sending shockwaves through the economy. And here's the worst part. Even if these tariffs get delayed or canceled, we're already seeing retaliation from other countries, which means higher prices are coming no matter what. But don't panic, because in this video, I'm breaking down 10 everyday items that are about to get way more expensive, and, most importantly, what you can do right now to protect your wallet. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for number 7, because nobody is talking about this, and it could affect every purchase you make. Let's dive in. 1. Food prices are already high, but they're about to get even worse. The U.S. imports a lot of food from other countries, things like coffee, sugar, and tropical fruits. If new tariffs go into effect, those prices will skyrocket. Take avocados, for example. 90% of them come from Mexico. If tariffs hit, you can say goodbye to cheap guacamole. Even though the tariffs are currently on hold, prices are already creeping up. Check the avocado section next time you go grocery shopping. You might see a price jump before the tariffs even start. And it's not just exotic foods. Tariffs cause a ripple effect. When the U.S. stops importing certain products, it creates shortages and drives up demand for local alternatives. That means everything from bread to meat could see price hikes. Farmers are also feeling the pressure. Many rely on fertilizers and animal feed from other countries. If those costs go up, so does the price of milk, eggs, and meat. And guess who pays for that? We do. Another problem? Retaliation. Other countries won't sit back and do nothing. If they put tariffs on American food, U.S. farmers could lose big markets, leading to even higher prices for everyone. So what can you do? Start stocking up on shelf-stable foods like rice, beans, and canned goods. Look for sales and bulk discounts. And if you love fresh produce, consider buying local or even starting a small garden. Because if these tariffs go through, your grocery bill won't just go up, it could skyrocket. 2. Alcohol. If you enjoy a cold beer or a glass of wine, get ready to pay more. The new tariffs could make alcohol prices jump, especially for drinks imported from Mexico and Canada. For example, a huge chunk of Mexican beer, like Corona and Modelo, is shipped to the U.S. If tariffs hit, expect those prices to soar. Even if you don't drink, this still matters. Alcohol sales bring in billions of dollars, supporting jobs in bars, restaurants, and stores. When prices rise, sales drop, and that means layoffs and struggling businesses. It's not just imports that will be affected. American whiskey and bourbon are also in trouble. Canada is already retaliating by banning U.S. alcohol imports in some areas. That's a $2 billion hit to the U.S. alcohol industry. If other countries follow, American distilleries, especially in Kentucky and Tennessee, could suffer big losses, leading to higher prices at home. Even the cost of making alcohol is going up. Bottles, cans, and packaging materials are all affected by tariffs on aluminum and glass. This means that even your favorite local beer or wine might see price increases. So what can you do? If you like certain brands, stock up before prices spike. Keep an eye out for sales and discounts, and if you're feeling creative, consider home brewing or winemaking. Because if this tariff war continues, your next six-pack could cost as much as a fancy cocktail. 3. Trucks and automobiles. Thinking about buying a new car or truck? You might want to act fast. The new tariffs could drive prices way up, making vehicles more expensive than ever. Here's why. Many American-made cars actually rely on parts from Mexico and Canada, things like engines, crankshafts, and fuel systems. If tariffs hit, companies like Ford, GM, and Honda will have to pay extra just to get the parts they need. And guess who they'll pass that cost on to? You. Even if you're not shopping for a new car, this still affects you. Replacement parts for repairs, like brakes, transmissions, and tires, could also get more expensive. That means higher costs at the mechanic and longer wait times if shortages hit. And here's the kicker. Some factories might shut down because they won't be able to afford the extra costs. That means layoffs, fewer cars being made, and even higher prices due to limited supply. So what can you do? If you need a car, start looking now before prices rise. If you already own a car, take good care of it. Regular maintenance can save you thousands in future repairs. And if you're looking for a cheaper option, consider used cars before those prices spike too. Because if these tariffs go through, a simple oil change won't be the only thing draining your wallet. 4. Steel and aluminum. Steel and aluminum might not sound exciting, but they are in almost everything, from cars and buildings to soda cans and kitchen appliances. If tariffs hit, the prices of these metals will skyrocket, and that means you'll be paying more for all kinds of everyday items. Let's start with the biggest impact: construction. A 25% tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum will raise costs for builders. That means higher prices for homes, office buildings, and even roads. If you're planning to buy a house or renovate, expect to pay thousands more for materials. Next, let's talk about canned goods. Everything from soup to soda to pet food comes in aluminum cans. When aluminum costs go up, so do grocery prices. That means your favorite drinks and pantry staples could cost significantly more. Even household appliances, like refrigerators, ovens, and washing machines, will be affected. Companies like Whirlpool and GE rely on imported metals, so they'll increase prices to cover their costs. If your fridge or stove breaks down, you might be stuck with a bigger bill than expected. And don't forget jobs. The U.S. manufacturing industry depends on affordable steel and aluminum. If costs go up, companies may cut jobs or even close factories, leaving many workers unemployed. So what can you do? If you need to replace an appliance or a car, consider buying sooner rather than later. Keep an eye out for discounts on canned goods, and maybe even stock up on non-perishables before prices rise. Because when steel and aluminum get hit with tariffs, everything around you gets more expensive. 5. Big box store. Groceries. Love shopping at Walmart, Costco, or Target? Well, get ready, because tariffs could push your grocery bill through the roof. These stores sell tons of products that come from Mexico, Canada, and China, including snacks, drinks, canned goods, and even baby formula. If a 25% tariff gets added, that extra cost won't stay with the companies. It'll trickle down to you. Think about your favorite brands: Heinz ketchup, Quaker Oats, Gatorade, Doritos, and even Swedish Fish. Many of these aren't made in the U.S., or if they are, their ingredients come from other countries. Tariffs will force companies to raise prices, and that means higher costs on the shelves. Even items packaged outside the U.S. could be hit. That means things like cereal, frozen meals, and even pet food could cost way more. If you're trying to cut costs, you might need to switch brands, shop in bulk, or start stocking up now before prices jump. Because when tariffs hit the supply chain, your grocery receipt takes the hit too. 6. Packaging. Here's something you might not think about: packaging. The box that holds your cereal, the wrapper on your snack, even the shipping box for your Amazon order. It all comes from somewhere, and a lot of it comes from outside the U.S. With tariffs on paper, cardboard, and plastic packaging, companies will have to pay more for materials, and that means they'll charge more for their products. Think about this. A company that sells toilet paper, paper towels, or tissues has to pay extra for packaging. So what happens? They raise the price to make up for the cost. Suddenly, even your basic household essentials cost more than before. Even worse, if you order products online, shipping costs could increase too. More expensive packaging means higher prices for everything from electronics to groceries. Want to stay ahead? Look for store brands, reusable options, and consider buying in bulk to cut down on packaging costs, because even the box your food comes in is about to cost more. 7. Lumber. Thinking about buying or renovating a home, you might want to act fast because the cost of lumber is about to shoot up. The U.S. gets a huge chunk of its lumber from Canada, but new tariffs mean that wood will be 25% to 40% more expensive. That's bad news for builders, contractors, and homeowners. Higher lumber prices mean new homes will cost thousands more to build. Renovations and repairs, like fixing a deck or adding a room, will be way pricier. Furniture made with wood, like tables, chairs, and cabinets, could see price hikes too. If you're planning a home project, it's smart to buy materials now before costs rise. And if you're in the market for a home, expect higher prices and fewer discounts. 8. Crude oil. If you drive a car, use heating oil, or buy anything that gets transported by truck, tariffs on crude oil will hit your wallet hard. The U.S. imports over 70% of its crude oil from Canada and Mexico. A 10% tariff on oil means higher costs for refineries. And when refineries pay more, gas prices go up. Imagine filling up your tank and seeing gas prices jump by 30, 50, or even 70 cents per gallon. That adds up fast, especially if you commute to work or take road trips. Diesel prices will rise too, making shipping and transportation more expensive. When it costs more to move goods, stores raise prices on everything, from groceries to clothing. Heating oil will also become more expensive. If you use oil to heat your home, you might pay hundreds more this winter. And because factories rely on oil for production, the cost of manufactured goods will also increase. Some might think, why not just use U.S. oil? But it's not that simple. U.S. oil is a different type than what refineries need. It takes time and money to adjust production. In the meantime, we'll be stuck paying more at the pump. If tariffs go into effect, expect fuel prices to spike quickly. It's smart to fill up your tank before price hikes and consider cutting back on driving where you can. Because when crude oil costs rise, everything else follows. 9. Electricity. What if your electric bill suddenly shot up by 10% or more? Or worse, what if your power went out more often? That's exactly what could happen if tariffs are placed on imported electricity from Canada and Mexico. The U.S. imports nearly 33 terawatt hours of electricity every year, enough to power over 3 million homes. Canada is our biggest electricity supplier, and they're not happy about these tariffs. Some officials are even threatening to cut off power exports completely. If that happens, the U.S. won't be able to replace that energy overnight. Our power grid is already under stress, and losing a major electricity source could lead to rolling blackouts, especially in areas that rely on Canadian electricity, like New York and the Midwest. Even if the power stays on, prices will rise. A 10% tariff on electricity imports means power companies will pass the cost on to customers. That means higher electric bills for homes, businesses, and factories. And when businesses pay more for power, they raise prices on everything else, making everyday life even more expensive. The worst-case scenario, an all-out trade war where Canada cuts off electricity exports completely. That could lead to energy shortages, unpredictable blackouts, and skyrocketing prices. If these tariffs go through, the smartest thing you can do is reduce your electricity use. Consider energy-efficient appliances, solar panels, or even a backup generator, because when the power goes out, it won't just be an inconvenience. It could become a serious problem. 10. Fertilizers. Did you know that most of the food grown in the U.S. depends on imported fertilizer? Without it, farms can't produce enough crops, and when supply drops, prices rise. The U.S. imports over 90% of its potash fertilizer from Canada. Potash is essential for growing corn, wheat, soybeans, and vegetables. If tariffs go into effect, fertilizer prices will jump, making it more expensive to grow food. And when farmers pay more, you pay more.